Welcome to Power Trend Investing. We're into finding momentum moves early by combining Andrew's techniques and Elliott wave theory. Let me give you an example. In Elliott wave theory, they think that moves that are continuation moves go in 5 waves for the most part. And their objective is often to find pivot 2, which is the beginning of the 3rd wave. What we're going to do is look at Andrew's techniques and use them in a specific defined manner to help find pivot 2s. And these are not just pivot 2s, but these are pivot 2s that will move 100%, and I'll show you what I mean by that, or in many cases in excess of 162%. I'll show you what that means too. So hold on, give you a quick overview and then go through the whole process. Okay, here's a low, here's a high, boom, here's a 2, what we've labeled a 2. And if we take the distance from here to here and measure it from here to here, there's 100%. Okay, and as we can see right now, prices are right there. And the theory is simply that if prices can close a couple of times beyond 100%, they'll typically go on to 1.618% or more. Let's see an example of how this occurred. Here we have one close, and this close was not lower, so it made past the 100% but didn't make it to the 1.618%. How did we define the 100%? We take the distance from here to here and project it forward starting at the 2. Let's take a look at what happened here. Made it past 100%, several closes beyond, and then eventually made it past 1.618%. Let's take a look at another example. Made it to the 100%, and one close beyond, and then didn't make it to 1.618. Here, here, here. 100%, a couple of closes beyond. One past. It just couldn't stop. Okay. Here's one that didn't work out. This one did not make it up to 100%. This one made it past 100% and then kept on going past 1.618%. This one made it past 100% easily and then past 1.618%. Okay, so the question is what criteria was used in order to determine the 2? And then we'll go from there. But before we start that, we're going to go back in time and go to the book. And remember, this book here is the companion to this video. everything I say in the video is not necessarily in the book, and everything that says in the book is not necessarily in the video, but this is the companion to it. Okay, first things first. Let's go over the required legal stuff, and this is important. It's important that you understand that regardless, when you have a track record or of something that happened in the past, when it comes to the stock market, if you used real money, simulated money, historical tests, whatever you used, the past and the future are never identical. The underlying factors are never identical. What we do in technical analysis is get pretty close in terms of technical analysis factors, but all the other factors are not identical. And so what we're working with in technical analysis is statistical probability. Okay, so what I ask that you do is to go through the 3 steps. This video, like the book, will show you how to go through the 3 steps. Take the 3 steps, and the purpose of the 3 steps is to give you a thorough understanding of exactly how this works, so that you too can find the 2's and then do the measurement appropriately. Whether or not you ever put real money on the line is up to a whole number of factors. And probably the most important one is investing has risk. No question. And when you invest, you only use money that you can afford to be without. Period. Okay, so let's go back to the preface and the book. This book here answers a whole lot of questions, and one of them is what portion of the Advanced Andrews course techniques can be combined with specific Elliott wave patterns, very specific ones, not all of them, in order to find many future long and strong moves for investing. And if you don't understand Elliott, if you don't understand Andrews, not a problem. We'll cover all that stuff. If you understand some or both of them reasonably well, this will probably add to your understanding of them. Okay? So, basically, a little history on what happened here. Way back when, I met Professor Andrews. Okay, and this is about what he looked like at the time. And and there's some videos of me together with him at that time. And Andrews taught a certain way of doing things, and I looked at it and I said, gee, this could be combined with Elliott wave. And he went, that's too complicated. I said, well, let me see what I can do. And he says, yeah, you like doing research, go for it. So I did, and what I came up with was that with Andrews, there are very specific things that work very well with Elliott wave, so that you can combine them effectively. Okay, and that's what this is about. Because remember, what we're out to do is to find momentum moves early by combining Andrews techniques and Elliott wave. That's the objective. Okay, so let's move on. First of all, what's an Elliott wave? Well, an Elliott wave, well, the basic theory of Elliott wave is that for the most part, the market goes up in 5 or more waves, or down in 5 or more waves, depending on whatever, and then does a correction. Often that's 3 or more waves. Okay, so here typically I would label them as ABC when it's a 3-wave correction. Okay. And so what you need to know about Elliott wave is, if you know nothing, is that the name of the game is to try to find what's called an extended wave. And after you have this thing that we're going to find called a 2, you often get another 2, and then you have a 5-wave pattern inside, and then somewhere in here you have another pattern that gives you the 4 or 5. So you have what's called an extended wave pattern, and we'll show you about more than that. And the easiest way to understand the extended wave pattern is which one's the longest out of these five waves. In most cases, the 2 to 3 is believed to be the longest. Here's a nice example of this. Here's your ABC, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This was silver. As you can see, yeah, 5th wave was the longest. Okay. Now here's something more about Elliott wave, and that is that they believe that basically the market moves in 3 steps forward, and then 2 steps back, and then 3 steps forward again, and then 2 steps back, and then 3 steps forward, and then 2 steps back, or if you're at the end of a move, then you start going 3 steps the other way and 2 steps back. So as you can see here, the theory is there's waves inside waves inside waves, and so the result is that according to Robert Prechter, who wrote about this stuff years and years ago, that you can go to charts as small as 1 minute to find your Elliott wave patterns. Okay, now one of the things you need to know, and that is that in theory, according to the Elliott wave folks, the wave from 2 to 3 is never the smallest. That would mean, according to their labeling, this would be an illegal label, I guess, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 it doesn't work because the 2 to 3 is the smallest. Okay, so we're going to go over some of the really easy to understand rules regarding Elliott wave. Here's a nice example of a down move: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can clearly see that there were 5 waves in that. Right? Okay, now one of the rules that is actually very useful in Elliott wave is what's called the rule of alternation. And rule of alternation simply says if you have a correction pattern, whatever this one looked like, and this is what's considered a zigzag, just kind of real easy, A, B, C, and just like this one here, A, B, C, real simple. A simple zigzag pattern, it's the next correction you get, which was up here, will not be the same. It will be very different. Okay, and as you can see here, your correction in this case was what some might call a running correction, where here is your A, B, C, only your B is higher than your end of this move here, which was the 3. Okay, and one of the interesting things about Elliott wave, they have these rules, and one of them says that, well, the pivot B, so if you have an A, B, C, the B can be higher or lower, as the case may be, is appropriate, than the previous pivot. But if it's a 2, it can't be lower than that previous pivot. So in other words, over here you have a C, goes up for 1, down for 2, and this 2 must be equal to or higher than your C. Okay, but when it comes to corrections, all these rules are pretty much thrown out the window, and the only one that's really important is the rule of alternation. Okay, now one of the interesting things about Andrews is that sometimes you can apply what I call the Babson profit ladder, and when you can, extremely useful to help you determine approximately where these Elliott wave points will be. Okay, let's hold on 1 second here. Okay, moving back here. Now let's move back to the Elliott wave thrust rules. Thrust rule number 1. Third wave is never the shortest. And so the result is sometimes you look at a chart and just go, well, gee, I don't know which is which here really, but I guess this must be one of these non-countable moves, because there's 9. It looks like there's 9 waves in this structure, and those happen sometimes. Okay? But as long as you're in at the 2, who cares, right? So this one here would be in violation, because this one here is the 2 to 3, and if the 2 to 3 cannot be shorter than the 0 to 1, then the 4 to 5 cannot be the shortest of the 3 thrust moves, right? Okay, but I'm not so sure that that's really that important. What's probably more important is that more often than not, the extended wave occurs in the 3rd wave, right? Okay, so let's take a look at the median line. One of the things that we know about the median line, if we need to draw a median line, we find 3 points, A, B, C, and from B and C we draw a line, find the midpoint. From A we draw it through there, and that's the median line. And according to Andrews, what's helpful about the median line is it gives you a pretty good idea as to what the trend will be. Okay, and what you're going to find is that very often, what in technical analysis they call W bottoms, is the approximate location that you'll find this interesting little beast called a pivot 2. Here's a W bottom, or a double bottom. Another example of that. Anyway, that's not a big deal here. Now, what's really a big deal is that after prices make an ABC of some kind, and then they zoom through the ML and retrace back, where they test the low but don't go past it, they will often go further in the original direction. So what's an ABC? Well, an ABC that I'm looking for is considered a zigzag, a standard garden variety zigzag. Typically in a garden variety zigzag, the C is higher than the A if you're looking at a high, and the B is not lower than, or not beyond, the previous 5. So these are examples of ones that don't count effectively. So in other words, here you have one that would not count as a garden variety zigzag, also where the C does not go beyond the A. Okay, if it went beyond the A, just a little above it would be fine. Then this would be a garden variety zigzag. Okay, so what we're looking for is that good old standard ABC, right? Some kind of correction that's an ABC. Let's see this back on the charts that we originally saw. ABC, right? ABC, 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 notice the places where I said there was an ABC, the C was typically beyond the A, and the B was not beyond the previous pivot. Right? See here? Here you had some kind of 5-wave up and then an A, B, C. And then, so this pivot here was not beyond this one here. So you're A, B, C. Now, what also has to qualify in order for this to be an ABC is that prices at the A need to zoom through the ML. Let's take a look at this. Boom. See how they zoom through? Really nice one, right? And that's for the A. Oh, I'm sorry. That's hold on. Getting ahead of myself here. Okay. So what we're going to look for is this ABC. Let's scratch what I just said. Okay. What you're going to look for is a zoom to the 1. Okay. And then a retrace back, and then further in the original direction. Now when it retraces back, quite often it's not going to come near the ML. Sometimes it will, but more often than not it won't. Let's see another example. See, it didn't make it to the ML. Here's your zoom. Here's your 2. Boom. And here's the time when it didn't succeed. Here's your ABC. Zoom through, retrace back, but not everyone's going to be a winner in this. 1, 2, 3, and then it kind of petered out, right? Here was your ABC. You zoomed through, came back down, tried to make it past that ML at pivot 2, but just couldn't, right? Here's your zoom. Tried to make it back to the ML, just couldn't. Okay. Now, how does this fit in with Andrew's theory? Well, it's really very straightforward. See, Dr. Andrews said that prices make the median line in 80% of the cases. Okay. Well, then, and that the median line was a really good indication of what direction the trend was. Okay. Well, if prices don't make it to the median line 20% of the time, if that 80-20 thing was exact, which, then the typical place where that would occur is at pivot 2 after an ABC, right? Because if there was a change in trend when prices went to pivot 1, see, so they went, here's your A, B, C, and they went through the median line and then came back down, right? Ba-dum-ba. And your A, B, C went through the median line, came back down, ba-dum-ba, right? So if you draw your median line using pivots A, B, C, they zoom through and they pull back. When they pull back, in most cases, they will not make it past the median line, the next median line that you draw from pivots B, C, and that possible pivot 1. Okay? So here in this section here of the book, we go over Andrew's rules and the zoom thing I just told you about, and all those good kind of things. See, and so here we have prices failing to make it to the ML at pivot 2, and down we go. Doesn't work 100% of the time, but it's pretty darn good. See, so here you have your A, B, C, and in this particular case here, it happened to be what was called an ORE. Okay, and then prices went down again and tried to make new lows but didn't, and so your C point, your B, C, and 1 was used to draw the median line, and prices were unable to get past it. Right? And so the theory is very simple, that after an ABC, prices, if then prices zoom through the ML, and then they retrace back, and when they retrace back, they don't make it past that ML again, that new ML, that this is a good shot at being a pivot 2 of a move in this direction. Okay, and that quite often this move here will make that 100%, if not the 163%. Right? That's the whole gist of it. So your step 1 in the 3-step process is determining your ABC, and then step 2 is looking for the zoom of the ML, and then a failure to make it to the ML. Okay, those are your 2 steps. Okay, here's another example. ABC, zoom past the ML, come back down, fail to make it. Really nice. Okay. And so what we did was we focused on this particular part of Elliott wave theory. Now we could have said, well, look, if you if you go your 3ML 4-5, if that's a zoom, and then you can get the same thing, and you may go through historically, do some testing, and found that that has an interesting result too. But in this particular book, what we're focusing on in this video is we're focusing on the ABC, and then a 1, and then a 2, and then something that gives you a 3rd wave. Right? That's what we are selectively focusing on. So we've got the 2 steps down. Okay? So sometimes if when you draw the 2 MLs, it'll look messy like this, your A, B, C. Right? And now they're both focusing. So you have the zoom up and the zoom like this. Right? And here's that. All we did here was draw the 2 MLs after the ABC. Right? So here, ABC, 1, 2. Okay. So now what you'll find sometimes, so you get a zoom of the 1, then down for a 2. And what happens sometimes is you'll get a second little ABC in here. And then you get a zoom to the 1, down for a 2, and you get a second one. Ooh la la. Now some Elliott wave guys really go goo goo gaga over this thing. Okay. It's a 3rd wave of a 3rd wave kind of thing. Alright. Here we go, and using software that combines the 2. We discuss Michael Rada's work, and that's the site is precisiontrader.com, where you can find his work, and his software labels the pivots in a certain way, and good stuff. Let's see, you talk about taking it to the next level, and taking it to the next level would be doing things like looking and to see if the C wave made the ML. If that didn't make the ML, well, then that would be good too. See, because here you had your 5 wave up, and here you had your ABC, right? And so, did that C wave make it to the ML? Nope, it didn't. Right? Okay, let's talk about entering the trade. Okay, there's and how you enter it and what you do in that regard is really up to you. And the reason is because people have different styles that they're comfortable with. And the three main styles are the breakout type person. And some people like breakouts, and so they'll draw a trend line, and when prices break past a trend line or an MLH line or a median line or something like that, they'll use that as an entry point. Okay. Then there's the pullback type person, and that's the people who they'll look at this kind of thing and say, oh wow, that's really cool. And so when prices pull back and come near the ML, they'll enter. I guess they'll miss a lot of trades with this. But other people will simply go, well, gee, when what we'll do is we'll measure the move, the 0 to 1, and when prices come back 50 or 61.8 or something like that, then we'll start getting interested. And so what they do then is they either buy when it hits 50 or 60 or 78% or something like that, and they also like to measure the distance from here to here. Okay, so from the 1 to the 2, and say, well, when prices go up 25 or 30% of this entire move here, then we'll get in. So that's combining a pullback with a kind of a breakout. Okay. Okay. Now let's talk about exiting the trade of the investment. A max dollar amount or percentage has been met, and or a stop loss is triggered. Okay. And so, in other words, one of two things: that your stop loss is triggered, or let's say the 100%, or maybe you do. Now, one guy likes to do 90%, and so you take 90% of that thing, or 100%, and that's your exit. That's your take profit point. Uh, or what happens is that when you're in things are happening here, and you're in the third wave, and then suddenly the pattern looks like something other than the standard thrust pattern, and you think that that's something to walk away from with a small profit rather than a possible substantial loss. Okay, and so the other one would be prices are near the end of what appears to be a fifth wave or some other relevant percentage point, and that might be 1.618 or 2.618 as we've seen before. Or now the fifth wave, for example, here's a wild and woolly one in soybeans. You have the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the fifth wave, and inside the fifth wave you have 5 more waves. Right? And so, the perfect trader would be getting out here at the fifth wave of a fifth wave, and of course gets the final tick, and that's Mr. Perfect Trader. I don't know anybody like that, but it happens. Or other people will simply draw a median line from 2, 3, and 4, and after prices make that pivot 5 and kind of break that H, they'll just take their profits and go away. All right. Okay, and here's an example of the 100% point. Right. Now this is actually a nice example here. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here you had 1, 2, and here was your 100%, and then you saw 3, 4, 5, and what you noticed is that, gee, the 2 to 3 wave, 4, 5 is there, the 2 to 3 wave is not the shortest, but the 0 to 1 is the longest, and when your 0 to 1 is the longest and your 4 to 5 is the shortest, you probably want to get out early. Okay, because that's that's one that's going to turn and go back the other way rather strongly in many cases. Okay. Another thing you can do is look at time. Okay, so in other words, if you take your 0, 1, 2, right, and you look from this point here and know that how long is this whole deal going to take? It's probably going to take over 100%. So if your distance for your time from here to here is a certain number of bars, and you project that out into the future, this would be that next point in time, and you know that it's going to take a little bit more time than this one here, than the 100% point in terms of time. And typically, I think if you do the historical studies, you'll find that that's the case. All right. Now, okay, so we've talked about the first two steps, and what's the third step? Well, the third step is about doing it. And let's talk about risk a little bit. There was an author of a book called The Black Swan, and he said, "Oh, gee, there's something out there, and you've really got to be careful because when these black swan events come, wild things really happen." And so I take that kind of the other way around, saying that, well, when it looks like it's a white swan, watch out because it really might be a black swan. And white swan meaning that, everything looks absolutely perfect, everything look absolutely wonderful, everything really, really great. And so in order to handle that possibility that it might be a black swan and suddenly go the other way quite a bit, what you do is you minimize the risk, and you do that through good risk management by only risking a very small percentage of your capital on any trade that you do, and you only use investment capital, that's capital that you're willing to risk. Okay. And before you get out there and do the deal, what you do is you go to a place like Investopedia, or maybe TD Ameritrade does this. I'm not sure how they do it, but we tried this at Investopedia, and what we did was we had someone do this trading over a period of time. Now, we showed the video in December to a group of people, and then one person took the information in this video and tried it out. And one of the things you need to do in that is to do a whole lot of trades. Now, we're not suggesting over trading, but you need to give it several months, and then during those several months, making tons of money on one or two trades might sound elegant and exciting, but what we're really out to see is statistical probability of success in the approach you're using. And so you really want to see probably between 30 and 100 trades or more. Okay, so minimum 30, but if you can get 50 or 60, that would be better. And in this case here, we had about a total of about 50, 60 trades as we got up to here. And so, as you can see, there are ups and there's downs and ups and downs and all that kind of stuff. And if you're looking for long positions, probably the best time to look for longs is when the market's been going down a couple of days. Very important. Let's take a look at this. This was January 1, right? And let's take a look at the market around January 1. Well, lo and behold, here's December 31st, the day before January 1, and notice that it was right around here that the market was down for several days. And so that's when you really need to look for possible longs. Okay. Now, what's really, really good about this particular approach is it goes both long and short. And so even if you don't trade this, you can use this in another fashion. And here's how. One of the things that we do is we keep track, we keep one of these Investopedia accounts, right? So if somebody trading this thing on Investopedia, which is a simulator account, and so there's no actual money ever at risk, But what we do is we track how many longs there are and how many shorts there are in the account. And what we notice is that when there's a whole, like practically no shorts and all longs, then the market is probably in an uptrend, even if it's gone down for several days. Okay, like over here. Okay, and that when as things move along, when there's those longs you put on a while back are all gone, and there's a whole bunch of shorts, watch out, the market may now be going into a downtrend. So it's a rather grassroots trend indicator for the overall index, because after all, the S&P index and the Nasdaq and all those guys, they really are composites of the stocks, right? Okay, so we have that. Let's go back to the book. Let's see what else we have. Okay, so here's a whole bunch more examples of this kind of thing, and these were actual examples from the S&P thing I showed you. Okay, and here in the book we talk about the risk management that I mentioned to you before, and a couple things that's available to you is you can join the free Yahoo group. So you just click on new, you type in your email thing in here, and you can join that for free. Okay, if you want to see this video again, you can just click on there and pay for it through the exact same PayPal account, and mention there'll be a place where you can send a note to the holder of the account that to us that you're seeing the video a second time, and we'll verify that. And if you are, then your cost you will give you a rebate equal to about 85% of the fee that you paid us for seeing it the second time. So it might be I don't know what the exact number is, but it would be 80. You would be getting a refund of 85% on the second, third, or fourth, or eighth time that you view the video in the same account. So in other words, if you sit there with a friend and you want to show it to a friend of yours, then do it through your PayPal account, not theirs, because you've seen the video already. And what happens is just send that note, and within 48 hours we'll process that, and you will get that 85% or more refund. Okay. And also what you can do is you can take the Advanced Andrews course if you like, and if you do that, we will credit you for what you paid for the for this video. Okay, so all you do is you take the course and just process it through the regular thing. You go on the products page and you click on there and and then what you do is just put a note in there and say, please credit me for what I have paid for the video, and we'll gladly do that. So you'll get we'll give you a refund through PayPal on that. Okay, so within 48 hours, once again, you should be receiving a refund of what you paid for the video, the 100%, and will go to up to like 3 viewings. So if you viewed it 3 times, and the first time you paid 100%, and the second time you paid less than 15%, and the third time less than 15%, then we'll just take those 3 amounts and subtract them from the course, and what we'll do is we'll try to send you a refund of whatever that amount is. Okay, we'll work through that. Okay, so let's see. I think that's really about it. This is Ron Janish signing off. This here is what I looked like right around the time when I went to see Dr. Andrews, and this was a while back, and this was in the Philippines that picture was taken. No, this is not photoshopped. I really did that. I was crazy enough to do that. And if you want to come visit, you're welcome to. And here's my backyard. And yes, this is really my backyard where I live. And every once in a while, there's a helicopter back there getting some water if there's a fire somewhere around here. Okay, so and this is right by the pool, and so this is the view from the backyard. Okay. Anyway, I thank you for your time, and please take the course over at Andrew's course. Also available is the expanded course, which has just a massive amount of more material and has the OR technique and all those kind of things. So thank you for your time, and remember, during the regular course and the expanded course, each of them has their own set of videos, extensive number of videos. Okay? So, till next time.